Oh, the irony. Just as I'm about to start an Amazing Spider-Man figure review, I find a spider on the floor. Hello YouTubers and Marvel superhero fans, and welcome to my first The Amazing Spider-Man movie action figure review. Now today I'm going to be bringing you a review of one of Hasbro's 4-inch Amazing Spider-Man movie figures, and as you can see it is the Reptile Blast lizard figure, which comes from the movie series. This particular figure comes with an accessory which is a large gun with a green missile. I got this figure and its accessory obviously from my local entertainer store recently for £9. I was actually looking for the ultra posable Spider-Man figure when I was in there. Sadly I didn't find that, but I did actually want this figure while I was in there, and when I found it I quickly got it off the shelf and bought it. I did watch some other people's reviews of this particular figure before I got it. I wasn't sure whether I was going to like it or not, but now I have it with me, I have to admit I really do like this figure, even though there are some things I don't really like about it, which I will talk about later on in the video. Okay, so if we take a look at the front, we can see a picture of Spider-Man as played by Andrew Garfield at the top, along with the logo for the movie. Then we can see the figure and its accessories in a clear plastic bubble in the middle. Also beneath that you have the card showing the Spider-Man symbol, a picture of the figure and its accessories prototype figure. That is, and also the name of the figure. As you can see here in the UK, this figure is just called Lizard, but in the US and possibly a few other countries it is actually called Reptile Blast Lizard instead. On the side you just got a bit of red and also another picture of Spider-Man on the other side, and doesn't actually have the number of the figure unlike the Avengers figures, so in order to find out what figures are on the shelves you'd have to actually look at the clear plastic bubbles themselves to see what figures are inside the boxes, rather than just look at the numbers like I did when I was trying to look for certain Avengers figures. Then on the back you've got another picture of the prototype figure, which does actually look quite a lot different to the actual figure. Then some information about its accessories. Then you've got pictures of some of the Spider-Man figures from this particular wave, including the ultra posable Spider-Man figure, which I was actually looking for when I got this figure. Then you've got the usual product to company information at the bottom. Okay, so here we have Lizard from this year's Spider-Man movie. Now this figure is a completely new sculpt, and it is the first figure of Lizard in this particular Spider-Man action figure line. This figure is in good scale with the Avengers figures, which are also 4 inches tall, or most of them, so you can use this particular figure with those, as well as many of the other Spider-Man figures from this particular line. The head sculpt for this particular figure is absolutely fantastic. We can see that the facial features have been painted really nicely, especially the eyes, which have black surrounding them and little white and dark blue pupils. Also covering his entire head, you've got loads of little scales as well, making the figure look very lifelike. You can also see his little ears and also his very small nose at the front there as well. His mouth is pretty nice as well. We've got a big pink tongue sticking out, along with plenty of white teeth, which don't look really sharp but still look okay up close. I don't have any problems with this head sculpt whatsoever. I think it's a absolutely brilliant head sculpt for a figure of this scale, and it has a very good likeness of the Lizard that we'll be seeing in this year's Spider-Man movie. The torso is also a really highly detailed part of the figure. This pale patch on the front has some really nice detail, like the creases on the skin just by his neck, the muscles in the middle, and also the bone structure. You've also got plenty more of those little scales covering it, as you can see. On the back, the torso is mainly dark green like the rest of the figure, but it also has plenty more of those little dark green scales. The arms are also really nicely detailed. You've got lots of scales of various sizes around the shoulders, plenty of veins, and also lots of little scales as well. One thing I really like about the arms of this particular Lizard figure is the fact that one hand has 3 fingers, whereas the other has 4. I did take a look at the 4-minute preview of this year's Spider-Man movie just before making this review, and I did see that Lizard did have only 3 fingers on one hand and 4 on the other, so I'm really glad that Hasbro have done this to make the figure very nice and accurate. When I first got the figure I thought this is a very weird production error, but now after seeing the 4-minute preview I obviously know that Lizard does only have 3 fingers on one hand and 4 on the other. Like all other parts of this lizard figure, the legs also have plenty of scales of various sizes. The feet are really nice as well. They look very reptilian, got several little toes and claws. The toes are just the same colour as the legs, but I don't have any problem with that at all. You can see the bones that make his feet as well, and also plenty of creases. This particular lizard figure also does come with a very long straight tail, which is made from quite a soft bendy plastic, as you can see. It's also covered with lots of scales of various sizes. Some of the scales at the top of the tail are very big, but the scales towards the tip of the tail are absolutely tiny and can only be seen clearly when looking at the figure up close. So if I was to give some comments about the detail, paintwork and sculpting of this lizard figure, I'd say that the detail of this lizard figure is absolutely incredible. Doesn't need any improvements whatsoever, looks exactly like the lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man movie trailers, with all the little scales, the bone structure, the muscles, and even the really interesting sinister face. The paintwork is also absolutely superb. I really like the dark green they've used for most of the body, and also this very pale light brown or green colour for the middle part of the chest. To be honest, I'd say that if this figure looked like the prototype figure shown on the packaging with very light green all over the body, I wouldn't have liked it as much, because I don't think the prototype figure looks anywhere near as accurate as the actual figure here. I think the sculpting for this figure is absolutely superb as well. I do think it could have been a bit taller though, seeing as it is roughly around the same height as the ultra posable Spider-Man figure from this line, and in the trailers Lizard has looked at least 1 or 2 feet taller than Spider-Man as played by Andrew Garfield. So if I just gave a summary of my thoughts of the figure so far, I think it's absolutely perfect. I just think maybe it could have been a bit taller, so it would be in better scale with some of the Spider-Man figures from this particular line. His head can do a 360-degree turn, as well as move up and down quite nicely. It does go down more than it goes up, but you can still have him facing upwards. The arms are ball jointed at the shoulders, so they can do a 360-degree turn as well as move outwards. The same can be said for the lower arms, which are also ball jointed. It doesn't have any waist articulation, but the legs can go backwards and forwards from the waist, as well as turn 360 degrees at the knees, as well as bend a bit. The tail is also articulated, and it can move from just this one point here, and it can turn 360 degrees. So the articulation of this particular lizard isn't at all bad, at least in my opinion anyway. I do think maybe the figure could have been better though if it had joints at the wrists and maybe some mid-torso or waist articulation, so you could put him in some even more awesome poses. But as I just said, I think the articulation that this figure already has is just fine the way it is. So now it's time for me to give a summary of my thoughts on this particular lizard figure. So overall, I think Reptile Lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man is a very nice first addition to my Amazing Spider-Man movie action figure collection. I think the detail of this figure is absolutely incredible from head to toe, or should I say head to tail. Looks exactly like the lizard we've seen in the promotional material for the upcoming 2012 Spider-Man movie. The paintwork is absolutely superb. I think the paintwork for the actual figure is much better than that of the prototype, and I think the sculpting is absolutely superb as well. As I just said, I really do like the articulation for this figure as well. Once again, I do just think the figure could have been better if it had some joints at the wrists and also some waist articulation, and I also think maybe it could have been a bit more accurate if it was a bit taller, so it would be in better scale with the Avengers figures and also some of the Spider-Man figures from this line, obviously. So if I was to give Reptile Blast Lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man a rating out of 10, I'd say I'd quite happily give him an 8 out of 10. This is a figure I'd highly recommend to anyone that is looking forward to this year's The Amazing Spider-Man movie, or just anyone that is a fan of Spider-Man or Lizard. It's an absolutely superb figure. I'm so pleased with it. It's so much better than I thought it would be. And yeah, buy it if you're a fan of Lizard, or buy it if you're a fan of Spider-Man. Okay, that's it for the Lizard figure itself. If I have any more comments about it, I shall put them up in YouTube video annotations. Now, one thing I noticed about the accessories that came with the movie series Avengers figures was the fact that they never made an appearance in the movie. So I'm not sure whether the big gun that comes with this lizard figure will make an appearance in the movie, but it could. I don't know for sure yet, seeing as the movie hasn't been released into cinemas here in the UK yet. The accessory itself is pretty good looking. It's got some really nice detail. It's been painted with mostly light grey and also a bit of light green. I believe it is meant to fire its accessory by pressing this thing down on the red thing, and then the missile would obviously launch out. But as you can see, the top part of this accessory has just pretty much broken on me. It did just come off a minute ago, and I just had to put it back on, which is why it moved position since it did a minute ago. So if I was to give this accessory a rating out of 5, I'd say I'd give it probably a 3 out of 5. It's a very good accessory. It looks really nice, and I'm sure it'll be fun for kids. But for me as a collector, I don't think it's quite good enough for me. It makes the figure fall over quite a lot. It's just too heavy, and also I haven't been able to make it fire the missile yet. Hopefully I will soon though. So if you're a collector, then this accessory might be fun for you if you like this kind of accessory, but I would not recommend getting this figure to hold it while displaying it, because the figure could fall over a lot. And that is pretty much it for my review of the Reptile Blast lizard figure from the Amazing Spider-Man. A great figure with an okay accessory. I'd definitely recommend this figure if you're a fan of Spider-Man or someone that's just looking forward to this year's Spider-Man movie. As I said before, if I have any more comments about this figure and its accessories, I shall put them in YouTube video annotations or in the comments section below. If you would like to share your thoughts on this figure, please feel free to do so in the comments section below as well, or perhaps in a video response you'd like to make. I'm not sure if I'll be doing many more Amazing Spider-Man movie action figure reviews, because the only other one I'm really interested in at the moment is the Ultraposable Spider-Man. But if you have some figures from the line and you'd like me to review them, or you just recommend them to me, feel free to let me know about them in the comment section below as well, or just in a YouTube message, and I may consider buying and reviewing them. Thanks for watching this review, YouTubers.